A few weeks ago, a friend asked me how to know when to buy non-GMO or organic foods, if they were the same or if there were differences. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the differences between non-GMO and organic foods, and also help you understand when you should be spending the extra money to purchase non-GMO and organic, and when you should just wait and save your money and not buy the organic. So the first thing we need to understand is that non-GMO and organic are not terms that we can use interchangeably. But if something is organic, you can rest assured and be confident in knowing that it is not going to contain any GMO type of foods or ingredients in it. However, if something is non-GMO, that doesn't mean that it's organic. Non-GMO foods can still contain pesticides, hormones, antibiotics, artificial preservatives, and colors, where organic won't have any of those ingredients. So now that we understand that we can't use those terms interchangeably, let's first talk about what does non-GMO mean. So non-GMO means a food does not contain ingredients that come from GMOs or genetically modified organisms. So why do we have GMOs, you ask? So GMOs, genetically modified organisms, the primary reason why they genetically modify, which means they change the genes and the makeup of the seeds for these plants, is because they want them to be able to release a toxin to kill pests. Because they don't want to have to, spray pesticides on them per se, or even they want to be able to get higher yields, which means they want to have more produce come every time they harvest. So by making these organisms able to release that toxin to kill pests, it's going to allow more of that plant in the field where they're growing it to last and to grow to full term, where then they can then harvest it. So that will make the foods cheaper, because they're getting more of it, and that increases the supply to meet the demand. So it's just general supply and demand. But thinking about a plant that has the ability to release a toxin to kill pests, bugs, what have you, makes me a little leery as to what maybe those foods then have as ingredients in our foods on the inside of our bodies. I wouldn't necessarily call us pests, but we're still living organisms just like bugs or any other pests to these plants would be. My other hesitation about GMO foods is there really are no reliable long-term studies on proving the safety of using GMO, genetically modified organisms, to grow foods and have these seeds in our food supply. There is currently no food labeling requirement for foods that contain GMOs. So as of right now, the only way to know if a food has non-GMO, so it doesn't contain any GMO ingredients, is to look for the non-GMO Butterfly Project label that looks like this. So that label is going to ensure you that it has been tested by this nonprofit called the Butterfly Project, and they're going to make sure that there are no hidden GMOs in these foods. Now, in the year 2020, all foods are going to have some sort of labeling on their product or a QR code to show if there's any GMO ingredients in it. So the QR code is really easy if you don't know how to use it. Basically what you do is you take a can like this, Hunt's already has it on there, you go to the QR code, you're going to pull up your camera on your phone, you're going to scan into that QR code, and then once you get it in close enough, it's going to pull up a link. You click on that link, and then when you're going through, then the website's going to pop up. On this website, it shows Smart Label product information. So I'm going to click on that, and then you can see it shows the nutrition. It'll be a tab for ingredients, where it's going to show me all the ingredients. I can get more information on there, and it's going to tell you, kind of the information and what they are. You can go to where it says features and benefits, and there's actually a tab on here that says certifications. When I click on certifications, it shows me that it is a kosher certification, Global Food Safety Initiative, and then you can see that non-GMO project verified. Now that non-GMO, like I said, it's going to be on the label anyhow, but it's good to know this. Now this is a non-GMO food because obviously I buy non-GMOs, so this is what I use And so most of these are going to show that they're non-GMO. But in 2022, when they have these QR codes, if there are GMOs in there, it's going to have to say bioengineered food on the label or on that link that you get from the QR code. The majority of the foods that you'll find at the grocery are going to contain GMO ingredients. That's why it's so important to make sure you're looking for the non-GMO Butterfly Project label. Now, the reason why the majority of the foods at the grocery do contain GMOs is, like what I said earlier, is that it's a lot cheaper to produce foods using these GMO products because they can protect the plants, and like I said, they just get more of them when they go to harvest at the end. Now, the most common foods that are going to be GMOs in the US are going to be corn, soy, canola, sugar beet, alfalfa, papaya, cotton, potatoes, summer squash, and some varieties of apples. The biggest reason why apples are on the GMO frequently used list is because they're actually trying to create an apple that is not going to brown, so non-browning apples. I'm not sure I'm real keen and confident in us changing around the genetic makeup in these foods, specifically apples, just because we want the apple to lay around longer and it not to get brown. Organic means that all of the ingredients, including the animals used, are not going to be exposed to irradiation, synthetic products, or any pesticides. The animals also will not be given hormones or any antibiotics. Now, organic is going to have a wide range of varieties on how it's going to be labeled on foods, from 100% organic to just made with organic ingredients. So starting with 100% organic, how you can know if it is 100% organic is you're going to look for the USDA certified organic label. It's a green and white label that looks like this, and it's going to be on the product, and that's going to ensure that it is 100% organic. Now, the next step down can still be labeled organic. However, it's not going to have that green and white label, USDA certified, but you can know when it just says organic without that label that at least 95% of the ingredients are organic ingredients. Next is a label that will say made with organic ingredients. Now, to use this label, foods need to contain at least 70% organic ingredients. Now, that's going to require them to have at least 3 of their ingredients to be organic. Now, last, foods that do have some organic ingredients, but it's below 70%, they may have organic ingredients in it, but they're not going to be allowed to use that organic label, whether it has the USDA on it or just the words organic. Now, you really want to be careful as far as organic and not confusing it and thinking that it is interchangeable with the words on food products such as natural, free range, hormone free. One specific food I can think about would be eggs. So I'm going to show you the eggs that I use. So this is the egg carton that I use, and this is what I get. I actually get this from Aldi's, and it actually says USDA organic. So I know without a doubt they're 100% organic. However, you will see some eggs that are going to say free range eggs. You can see these say cage free eggs. So it may say cage free too, but they don't say organic. Now, what cage free essentially means is these chickens that are being raised, they are not in cages. However, they can be in a 10 by 10 pen and have 100 chickens in that area. So very cramped, they get really sick. They're going to give them antibiotics because they are going to be so cramped together. So if it doesn't have organic, even though it says cage free, that doesn't necessarily mean what we think of like free range eggs. Okay? Hormone free, they may not have hormones, but they may get antibiotics in it. So to really know that you're getting high quality eggs that are truly cage free and these chickens are able to roam and they're not all cramped in this small little pen is to look for that organic, specifically the USDA organic label. So now that you know the difference between non-GMO and organic, let's talk about when you should spend the extra money to purchase non-GMO and organic foods and when it's really not that big of a deal and you can save money and just buy the regular or conventionally grown foods. First, my personal opinion is I always strive to buy non-GMO products. Now there's a large amount of reasons why I feel this way, and it has a whole huge topic and a whole nother video that I am going to discuss and record later on. So to make sure you don't miss that and all my other uploads, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button, click on the bell to get notified and be the first to know when those new uploads come out. Now, as far as organic goes, when should you spend the money on organic, when should you not? So the way to know what foods are probably best purchased organic is you want to go to a site that's run by a group called EWG. On that site, they're going to have a list that's called the Dirty Dozen. So you can see here on the Dirty Dozen, there are foods such as strawberries, tomatoes, apples, those kind of things, those kale, those are things that I use a lot in my house, and we always buy organic. Spinach is another one we do, and we always buy that organic. These foods get on this list because they are going to be the most likely to have some residues of pesticides and other things that are sprayed on these foods when they're growing. So you want to make sure those are organic. Now, there's a whole group of produce that you can buy that actually don't need to be organic, and EWG has another list, and it is called the Clean 15. So now if you look at the Clean 15, you can see there are two foods in there that I'm slightly questionable if they really should be on there, and that is sweet corn and papaya. Now, sweet corn and papaya has recently been used, a small amount of them are using GMO seeds. So if you're trying to avoid GMOs, you're probably going to be best to buy the sweet corn and the papaya organic, and that's going to ensure that they're not going to be made from the GMO seeds. Now, with all of this, I want you to remember just consuming the 5 to 7 servings of fruit and vegetables a day is really the most important thing. So I don't want you to take this video and say, well, Dr. Shauna said I have to get those organic, I can't afford it, it's hard to buy fruit and vegetables and not spend a bunch of money. I'm just not going to get it, so I'm not going to eat them. 1 in 10 Americans are not eating the recommended daily servings of fruit and vegetables. So you may be that 9 out of 10 that aren't getting it because it's expensive or you're worried about it. So I don't want this to keep you from buying fruits and vegetables if you can't buy organic. Just get the 5 to 7 servings in. That's priority number 1. And then you can work through and start to slowly and gradually get a better budget, find places that you can get organic foods that aren't going to be that expensive. I get a lot of mine from Aldi's, even Walmart. There's another store, it's called Lidl, L-I-D-L. They have a lot of organic foods as well that you can get pretty cheap, but just focus on the 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And then make sure you're using those Dirty Dozen and getting those in the organic produce. And then the Clean 15, like I said, other than sweet corn and papaya, just buy conventional without the organic label on it. And the biggest thing is just to make sure you're getting those fruits and vegetables, and I can't stress that enough. So I really hope that this video has been helpful, and I hope it answers your question as well as my friend's question about what the difference is between non-GMO and organic and when you should go ahead and spend that extra money. If you did like the video, please click like below. Put any comments, any questions you may have in the comments below. I love reading your comments. And thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, remember, healing starts from within.